104.1 FM KMOX. Sponsored by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin Comfort dealer. Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. The genuine, the original. Now the Gashouse Gang on KMOX.
On the dribble. Wants the drive. Turns the corner. Spins. Gets out. Robbie open look. Bang! Robbie Avila!
Boy, what a night at Chaffetz Arena a couple of nights ago as a win against George Washington gives the Billikens their 20th of the season. We're still looking back at it because it was an exciting victory in a game in which they did not play their best. It puts them at 20 wins, gives them their best start ever. They've now won 14 straight games, and they've got a big game tomorrow at Chaffetz. That is the one against Dayton, the Billiken Blizzard. We are looking forward to that. In fact, we're going to talk to Earl Austin Jr. on the show today. That is coming up at 12:30. This is the Gashouse Gang, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin dealer, and it's because we've got Bernie Miklas with us today. And Bernie, man, it is watching this team play is just a tremendous amount of fun, and it has been the most fun that I can remember watching the Bills play in a very long time.
No doubt about it. Listen, I had definite hopes and confidence that the Billikens would be better in Josh Schertz's second season. And make no mistake about it, he's a terrific coach, knows how to build a team, knows how to build a culture. But they've exceeded my expectations. And I'm not saying that in a way to put them down because I had dismissed them or something. I hadn't dismissed them. I'm just saying they're better than I thought they would be. And that's a credit to all of them. They're not only a really good team, they're not only fundamentally sound, they not only, again, put their egos aside as individuals for whatever is best for the team. They play good basketball, but they're also very entertaining. You know, I exchanged I got a text message from Chris May last night, which was a nice surprise. And I texted him back this morning and I said, congratulations and thank you for this program that's been built, because right now you guys have the most entertaining sports team in town. And we are very much appreciative for that.
And that doesn't happen very often, man. It doesn't, because usually the Blues are a lot of fun or the Cardinals are. And if one of those two teams is good in any given season, you know, at any given time, they are going to be the talk of the town. And right. And obviously college basketball doesn't really overlap with baseball. But as far as a calendar year goes, it's really easy for the professional teams to take over. The Billikens have a tougher time breaking through, and for weeks they've been playing good basketball. But finally, it does feel like they're getting that attention. The game tomorrow sold out. Granted, it is Dayton, and there's always a good crowd for Dayton because there are a lot of St. Louis people who went to that school, so there's already automatic interest in it. But to have a sold-out crowd at that arena with a team that has won 14 in a row and just running through the conference so far, this is great.
It is, and Chris, and I'm sure you feel the same way, and I'm sure many people feel the same way, and no one needs me to point this out, but you know, watching the game, you know, and you're shaking your head because you're seeing some, you know, uncharacteristic sloppiness, or just they were off their game, the Billikens. And, you know, over a long course of the basketball season, college basketball season, those nights, those days are going to happen. It's inevitable. It happens to the best teams in America. They very easily could have just, it's one of those nights type things. But they kept fighting back. And when you can win a game under those circumstances, you know, and the crowd was a little small just because of the weather, you know, it wasn't a raucous environment from what I could tell. And again, I don't mean that as an insult. I'm just saying it's been a few tough days for people to want to leave the house and go freeze, even if it's driving down to an arena. But anyway, conditions like that, you know, that could easily have become a loss, but they basically refused to allow that to happen. So when you can win on an off night like that, where you had a lot of different reasons or a lot of different times during that game, you could have just kind of rolled over. They didn't do it. They wouldn't do it. That's a great sign. That says a lot about them.
And that's really does. You know what, Bernie, that's really the best point, is that you've got a team that, look, if they had a bunch of games like that, that would be concerning. It would be alarming. It'd be a sign of something fundamentally wrong with them. But every good team has at least one or two of those throughout the course of the year. It's a matter of how good is that team to overcome it, because the best teams do that. They don't have a good night at the free throw line. They're not hitting their shots. The defense isn't what it should be. And they still find a way to win, even if it's a last-second shot. That's just a sign of a good team because they're doing it in multiple different ways. They had the game like they did on Tuesday night where they had to come back and win down double digits, and then, Avila's got to hit the three with 3 seconds left to go. Mm-hmm. They have those games. They have the absolute blowouts where they're winning by 20 or 30 or more in some cases. They have the games that are just good, solid wins. They've done it every possible way this season, which is the mark of a good team and not one that is just skating by.
Right, and they can rely on their experience. They can rely on their coach. They can rely on their veteran leadership on the floor. You never really see this team panic. And now some people who aren't familiar with them, and I'm not talking about St. Louis people, I'm talking about people from around the country might check them out on a random night. SLU plays at such a fast pace. I mean, they push and push and push. They go fast. They're quick. It might look like they're disorganized. It might look like, well, why are they rushing around so much? And why are they turning it over? What are they really that good? Well, no, when you play it at an extreme pace, and they do, it's going to look a little helter-skelter at times, right?
Right.
But as from an overview standpoint, that helter-skelter, that fast pace that they play is a huge asset and a huge factor in their success. But at times it will look bad, right?
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. But listen, and I know I get all mired into the metrics and stuff, but there's about a 20% gap between the Billikens' performance on offense in terms of effective field goal percentage and the effective field goal percentage of their opponents. There's like a 20% gap, which means SLU is terrific offensively and they're terrific defensively. When that field goal percentage has a gap of like 20%, you have a good basketball team, period.
And that's what the Billikens have, and they're being noticed now. AP top 25 team in the coaches poll, top 25. The KenPom ranking has them at 25, and the net ranking, which is also pretty important when it comes tournament time, the Billikens are 18th overall, which is that's a really good number at this point of the season. And if they keep winning, obviously, I mean, if they win out, this is a tournament team automatically before the conference tournament. At least I think so. I don't think that you can deny a one-loss team, right? I don't think that'd be possible. I also don't expect them to go undefeated the rest of the way before the conference tournament. But I think they are already getting enough attention, and people around the sport, people who cover it, people who know what they're talking about, are giving SLU enough positive attention that it makes me feel pretty comfortable that this is good. This is a good sign that they are getting the publicity from the right people at this moment.
And to something you said earlier, you're absolutely right. And to something you said earlier, I just want to circle back for a moment. Dayton comes to town Friday, and then SLU's got a game at Dayton later on in the schedule. And Dayton and SLU are, it seems to me it's a pretty good rivalry. And It seems to me that, for a while, SLU got slapped around pretty good by Dayton. SLU's got the better team now, but you got to be wary of Dayton because there's one thing SLU does that can hurt them, in a given day could actually cost them. That because of that pace they play, primarily, they do turn it over more times than you would like. And Dayton's got some problems, but I couldn't help but take notice of looking at all their defensive statistics. They play really good defense. Most of the Dayton's problems are on the offensive end. They do enough of really good things defensively to where if the Billikens are having one of those games where they're a little careless, a little sloppy, not hitting free throws, a team that can play that kind of defense could actually take them down. So, but I expect SLU to be fully engaged and totally on guard come Friday night. The game in Dayton is going to be more difficult, but that's down the road a little bit. We'll worry about that when it gets closer to the time.
I love what Josh Schertz's team is doing here. And this right here, I don't know that I expected them to be 20-1 at any point in a season, but this is kind of what I was looking for when they hired him in the first place. He's great. I've always been a really big fan of his going back to the Indiana State days. Of course, I'm a Missouri Valley guy, so I pay close attention to what that league does, and I knew he was bound to leave that league for a better job, and he's here, and I hope he's here for a long time. Bernie Miklasz, Chris Ranji. We will talk to Earl Austin Jr. He is coming up at 12:30. He'll be on the call tomorrow night. You can listen to that game right here on 104.1 FM KMOX. We appreciate it, and I want to get Bernie Miklasz's thoughts on the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Haven't had a chance to talk with you about this, but arguably the greatest coach in NFL history. Some people would argue otherwise, but he is still in that conversation, has been denied his first chance at the Hall of Fame. I want to get Bernie's thoughts on that when we come back on KMOX.
On the management training skills needed to enhance the careers of business professionals. We did our research when it came to the best companies for website development and chose AmericanEagle.com. And we couldn't be happier. AmericanEagle.com worked closely with us to understand the front and back end requirements needed to launch an e-commerce website that could handle the complexities of running thousands of seminars nationwide. Our robust new website and improved SEO saw immediate increases in site traffic and web revenue. If you're in need of managerial effectiveness and success, visit our website at amanet.org. If you're in need of a website that provides an unparalleled consumer experience, I highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Transform your business today. Dial 877-WEB-NOW-1 for a free digital consultation with AmericanEagle.com.
You know, this is one of those topics that no one really wants to think about, but if you're a parent, a homeowner, married, or helping take care of aging parents, it's something that honestly deserves a little attention. I'm talking about estate planning. And before you tune out thinking it's complicated or expensive, that's actually why I want to mention Trust and Will. Trust and Will makes estate planning feel way less intimidating than it sounds. They offer modern, attorney-designed wills and trusts that you can create online. And the process is surprisingly straightforward. In fact, you can create a will in as little as 30 minutes. That includes things like guardianship for your kids or pets, how your assets are distributed, and even healthcare directives. Don't wait until it's too late. Protect your loved ones with Trust and Will, the most trusted name in online estate planning. Go to trustandwill.com/plan to get 20% off. That's trustandwill.com/plan for 20% off. Trustandwill.com/PLAN.
My house has a new glow. I love my windows. Universal Windows Direct.
Hey guys, it's Glover. Right now, buy 4 windows and get 4 free and 0% financing for 60 months, $1,000 off, plus a bonus vacation voucher. Restrictions apply. Call 314-334-2522. Like me, you'll be saying, I love my windows.
I love my windows. They've got that brand new home effect. Universal Windows Direct.
St. Louis has a voice.
KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
That voice has shared our stories from headline to history.
Martin Luther King was killed by an assassin's bullet tonight.
From moment to memory.
It's a strike call! A no-hitter for Gibson!
Among those voices, Charlie Brennan.
Well, we've got lots to talk about, despite our listeners' letters to the contrary.
Working at KMOX is an honor and a responsibility to represent this community. It's one we take seriously. KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
Glover here for my friends at Cantor Injury Law. Cantor is local, and we're here doing the work every day. We're right here in St. Louis, and we're ready to fight for you. CantorInjuryLaw.com or call 314-628-9999.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be solely based on advertisements.
If you're trying to sell your home, there's only one group of agents in town I trust. Mark and Neil Gelman of eXp Realty. My friends Mark and Neil have the best system, options, and strategies to connect you to the best qualified buyers, getting your home sold fast and for top dollar. Check out thegelmanteam.com.
100 years one legendary voice. We live KMOX's century of service, classic audio, photos, videos, and more at KMOX100.com.
It is a Gashouse Gang, and it is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, SaligaHeatingandCooling.com, and Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Bernie Miklasz, Chris Ranji with you today. Earl Austin Jr. comes up at 12:30 talking Billikens basketball. And look, Bernie, I am not the biggest fan in the world of Bill Belichick, the former head coach of the New England Patriots, and I guess head coach at North Carolina. That's not going particularly well. But the fact that he is not in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, or at least according to reports, is not going to be. That unveiling hasn't happened yet, but it got out that he's going to miss his first time. He is now eligible for the first time. I think people have heard about this story. And somehow 11 people did not vote for him. You need 40 out of 50 to vote in your favor, and he did not pass the 80% threshold. Look, I may not like the guy. I do not like the New England Patriots. It bums me out in a really big way that they're back in the Super Bowl already. But I don't know how in the world you can deny this person.
He should be in the Hall of Fame because he is, in fact, the most successful coach in the history of the National Football League. And because of his crabby ways and kind of the cold way, the curt way he deals with media, there's always been an undertone of writers, broadcasters, voters too, just sort of under their breath. I hate this guy, And he's had some scandals in his career, and I understand that. Spygate was a bad one, but it's not the Hall of Fame committee's job to retroactively seek justice. Because, in fact, whether we agree that it was the NFL came down hard enough, and they probably didn't, they still, the Belichick personally and the Patriots both were walloped pretty hard for Spygate. So, in other words, he was punished. There were sanctions. It was a great embarrassment. So the Pro Football Hall of Fame Selection Committee's job is to evaluate what the man's record was, how much he won, how he rates against other great coaches. It's not their place. It should not be their place to try to play judge, jury, and sheriff and go back in time to say, well, we didn't like what the NFL did. They should have been harder. So we're going to keep them out of here. That just makes a mockery of the entire process, because that kind of thinking should never enter into it. And what makes me laugh about it is the people that would say, well, it's not the worst thing in the world for him to be out a year, maybe as a punishment or whatever. I'll get back to that in a second. But the thing that makes me laugh is that after the O.J. Simpson scandal, let's call it that, he of course is in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But after he was acquitted and then some other scandals and just one big mess, there were a lot of people putting pressure on the Hall of Fame to take his bust out of Canton, that hallowed room. And the Pro Football Hall of Fame was actually pretty adamant and strident about that. He said, no, he was voted in and we're not taking him out. Now, I'm not even saying they should have taken him out, but the point is, if there was ever to be a case, it's like this brings shame to the Hall of Fame, we need to do something about this. But they didn't. But yet you have people that think that it's their job to discipline or punish Bill Belichick. I mean, it's just, that's why I said, you remember we talked about this with the Baseball Hall of Fame, and now it's the Football Hall of Fame. These people need to get over themselves. They're not in charge of morality. They're not in charge of this, making these hallowed halls pure and free of sinners. That's not their job. We're talking about sports here, okay? And I just, I don't know why so many people are hung up on this, passing moral judgments. Now, there have been some great coaches who did not get in right away. So yeah, it's not the end of the world if Bill Belichick has to wait a year. I mean, Bill Walsh didn't get into it like his third or fourth time. And looking back on that, that's preposterous. There are other examples of that. But, and I also want to say this too. My friend Vahe Gregorian, the Kansas City Star columnist,
I was just about to bring that up. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll back off on that. But there are some people who didn't vote for him for reasons that had nothing to do with hatred of him or wanting to get some kind of half-ass revenge or, along those lines. Well, I'm gonna vote to keep him out a year, at least for a year. You know, there were some people that had sincere reasons for not voting for him, and that should be also recognized.
And Vahe of the Kansas City Star did write yesterday about not voting for Bill Belichick, and he gave his 3 votes to 3 senior candidates, Ken Anderson, Roger Craig, L.C. Greenwood, who he thinks all should be in and are in danger of, not getting in at some point. And I can understand the thought process of, hey, Bill's getting in. I mean, this guy's, he's not in any danger of missing out. So I'm going to use my vote strategically for somebody I think belongs in the Hall of Fame and who may not get the votes. So he needs it more than Bill Belichick does. So I can buy that argument.
Sure.
Do we think that there are enough people who did it the exact same way who all thought, oh, well, everybody else is going to vote for him, so I'm not going to?
I think I can only speculate, but I know people in the committee, and I trust several of them that would have, if they voted that way, they did it for the right reasons, not for the wrong reasons, because they were trying to be pragmatic. It's the same reason why people didn't vote for Jim Edmonds first time on the ballot, because they just assumed he would get the 5%. And it's he'll get in, and but I also think there's some animus in the process. Listen, I sat in that room for 20 years. I had a great view of the best seat in the house in terms of watching that circus every year. I mean, some of the stuff is just unbelievable. But so I have some built-in suspicions because I was part of that committee for 20 years. But if I could just go back to something, and I'll do it really quick. You have the Spygate thing, and you have people saying, well, he only won because he cheated. Well, let me ask a question about that, if that's the big theory, okay? Why then, close to a decade after Spygate, why were the Patriots either in the AFC Championship game or the Super Bowl or both? I think it was like 5 times over a 7-year period, long after Spygate. Why? I thought he needed to cheat. Well, why is he still winning Super Bowls? The other thing that I think is laughable, I understand the point trying to be made, but when you try to make a point, it's like, well, he only won because of Tom Brady. First of all, that assumes something. That assumes that Tom Brady would have won 6 Super Bowls with anybody coaching the Patriots, right? And also, all the years they won the AFC Championship, was 9 times. They ranked in the top 5 of defense in the National Football League. Is that Tom Brady? The other thing too, when people make it that simple, they also fail to put it into context. Can I just give you a couple things really quick?
Yep.
Tom Landry had a 746 winning percentage with Roger Staubach as his quarterback. When another quarterback started while Landry was the coach, the winning percentage was 192 points less. Philadelphia, Andy Reid had a 583 winning percentage when Donovan McNabb was his quarterback. It dropped to 467 when McNabb wasn't the starter. Marv Levy, in games where Jim Kelly was not his quarterback in Kansas City and then Buffalo, his winning percentage was 442. When Kelly was his quarterback, 631 winning percentage. Dan Reeves had a losing record without John Elway as the quarterback. 600 winning percentage with Elway as the quarterback. Those are a few of probably about 20 examples. Wow, what a revelation. If you have a great quarterback, you're going to be more successful. Gosh, I never thought of that, he said sarcastically. So even when people try to do that, it's like they think they have a gotcha moment. Well, why didn't he win when he didn't have Brady? I don't know. Why was Tom Landry a lot less successful when he didn't have Roger Staubach? Because the most important thing you can have in football is a great quarterback. And yeah, the head coach benefits. But Bill Belichick also drafted Tom Brady, and he chose Tom Brady as his starter over Drew Bledsoe when Drew Bledsoe was still pretty good. So I just get tired of the silly nitpicking. And it all comes from a place where people just can't stand Bill Belichick. If I thought it was a sincere analysis, I would respect it. But I think most of these kind of quick analyses are based on throwing punches, not any kind of like serious analysis.
Well, a couple of things here. I would say that Andy Reid has been long considered a very good head coach in the NFL. We didn't go to 5 Super Bowls until he had Patrick Mahomes, right? He went to one before that, but he didn't go to 5 in over the course of like 6 years. He didn't do that until he had Patrick Mahomes, but he was still a very good coach before that. And after Spygate, Bernie, Belichick's winning percentage was .693, and he went to what, 3 Super Bowls after that? Or no, he went to 5 after that and won 3. That was after Spygate.
And the thing about Andy Reid, and this is what I'm talking about, when people don't put things into context, just as Bill Belichick looked at the tape and said, this Tom Brady there's something about him. I talked to people at Michigan. He's not in the best of shape. He's going to have to do a lot of physical training. He's slow and he's not quick and this and that and this and that. But there's something about him that I think we ought if we can get him in the 6th round, we've got to take him in the 6th round. So he did the scouting and he made the draft pick. I think he gets credit for that. At the time that he kept Tom Brady in fact, when he started him in the Super Bowl against the Rams, there was a lot of people in the Boston media said he's making a mistake. He should go with Drew Bledsoe. He didn't go back to Drew Bledsoe. He stayed with Brady. Doesn't he get credit for that? Andy Reid with Patrick Mahomes. Well, anybody can win with Patrick Mahomes. Okay, probably. But who was the coach that actually went out and scouted Patrick Mahomes and also watched about 1 million hours of tape and talked to about 50 people about Mahomes? And who told his general manager, says, look, we have to trade up to make sure we get this guy. He's special. When they made the move from Mahomes, I remember at the time, people around the NFL, the writers, they're like, I don't know about this one. I mean, he played in that air raid offense. It's easy to put up big numbers. I don't know about this one. So I think Andy Reid deserves a lot of credit, a ton of credit for the way the Chiefs got Patrick Mahomes. So this kind of simplistic attempt to downgrade coaches because they have a great quarterback, that is some weak stuff, man. Because that people that do that, they don't pay attention. Anyway.
Well, I think Andy Reid should be in the Hall of Fame when he's done, just by virtue of not trading up one spot to get Mitch Trubisky. Thank you. Hey, that's Bernie Miklasz. Yeah. That's Bernie Miklasz. I'm Chris Ranji. We're going to talk to Earl Austin Jr., Billikens basketball, when we come back. But we are just over a week away from the Super Bowl, folks. That's right. And FanDuel wants you to get in on the action because one final Sunday, one last kickoff, one last chance to place your bets before the NFL season ends. Super Bowl 60. FanDuel wants you in on it. And if you're a new customer, bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if you win. So if you're going with the favorite Seahawks or the underdog Patriots or building one last same game parlay, you can make it count because after the Super Bowl, the season is over. Last call for football on FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. Must be 21 and over and present in Missouri. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com.
For 100 years, you've welcomed KMOX into your cars, your kitchens, and your daily routines.
You've trusted us through breaking news, championship celebrations, and the stories that shaped our city.
You've listened during moments of joy and leaned on us when times were uncertain.
From overnight shifts to early mornings, from one generation to the next, you've made KMOX a part of your life.
From everyone at KMOX, thank you, St. Louis, for 100 unforgettable years.
KMOX Radio, the voice of St. Louis.
I hear from sellers all the time that they fear they have missed out on the selling market. They are so relieved to learn September, October, and November are strong selling months. With low inventory and hopefully lower interest rates, this fall will be a hot one for real estate. I'm Christina Straight, owner of Straight Realty. You may have heard me say, why pay more than 4 for years? Now it's why pay more than 2, saving you even more money. Call me 314-441-4444. And remember, why pay more than 2?
Straight Realty is a licensed broker in the state of Missouri, Kansas, and Nevada.
Now, KMOX weather from the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk.
Mostly cloudy, 28 degrees. We're at the high right now. Could get a flurry tonight, nothing serious, and a low of 1.
Soulard is going to the dogs. Make sure to bring your four-legged friend to the streets of Soulard for the 33rd annual Purina Pet Parade, the world's largest costume pet parade. It all starts at 12th and Allen, Sunday, February 8th at 1 p.m. And KMOX's own Dave Glover will be leading the pack as the parade's Grand Marshal. Sign up today to march in the parade with your dog. The event supports Open Door Animal Sanctuary. For more details, PurinaPetParade.com. Don't miss this annual St. Louis Mardi Gras tradition, sponsored by Purina.
I'm Ultima Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Every time one of my children started driving, it was terrifying. Thousands of accidents happen across the country. We see it every day. If you've been injured in a car accident, call us.
Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Setting goals for retirement is one thing, but knowing how to achieve those goals is another.
What are your wishes, hopes, and dreams? What's retirement look like for you? Because everybody, that picture is different.
For tips on building a better nest egg, tune in to the All Financial Hour with host Steve All, Saturday mornings at 10 or Sunday evenings at 6, right here on KMOX. You can also visit YourMoneyMattersSTL.com for more details.
It's men's Pelicans basketball action tomorrow night as they take to the court to take on Dayton. Pre-game 6:45, tip at 7 on your home for Pelicans basketball. KMOX.
Need a bucket here. There's a foul, no call. All over Robbie. Then they get it inside. Jam time on a baseline cut from Quentin Jones.
Nice work by Robbie. Warded off the physical defense. Q with a nice back cut.
Billikens basketball tomorrow is on 104.1 FM KMOX. The Billikens Blizzard. Can't wait. Can't wait. It's always a great night against Dayton. You'll hear those voices if you listen in to the broadcast. Bob Ramsey and our next guest, Earl Austin Jr. on the Gashouse Gang with Bernie Miklasz and Chris Ranji. Earl, good to talk to you. How's it feel to be working for a team that's 20-1?
It feels great. First of all, that song, that's my high school basketball song that got me ready for games back when I was at McClure North High School.
Nice.
More Bounce to the Ounce by Zap. Yeah, so, yeah. So otherwise, yeah, it's been a lot of fun, obviously. Yeah, best start in history. We haven't had this kind of start since, it's been 30 years. Spoonball was kicking back then. So, yeah, it's been great, and it was great to see a full house, and they really played a big part in that comeback win the other night against GW.
Earl, Bernie, love you. I'm glad you're here today. I got excited when I heard that. So hope everything's great in your world other than still basketball. Hey, what for the people that are just getting into it, and just started maybe picking up on the success and just saying, hey man, they're cool to watch, which they are. Tell us, I don't know if you want to give us 3 reasons or just whatever your main primary reasons are why this team is so good.
First of all, they offensively, they play together. They play for each other. Pass up the good shot for the great shot, that type of deal. Secondly, they do the foundational things. They play really good defense, and they rebound the basketball well. When we do those things, that's when we go to another level. Usually when you see a team that's, scoring, shooting threes, moving out the ball, they may see the other part of the game may slip, but they really get out and guard people, and they help each other out. And then what you saw the other night, they got mental toughness. That was the thing. Down 15 against a really good GW team, a lot of talent, and we're missing Brady, who was sick. 2 of our main guys were in foul trouble. We're down 15, and GW's really playing well. And so there was a game that you had to reach down and show some mental toughness. And I've seen them show some mental early, so I thought they can come back, but I needed to see it. And I think that was big. So those are three big things with the team itself, and the depth too. You got different guys that can versatile, diverse talents that can get you at any time. The other night, Ishan had 9 threes. The other night, this night it was Trey Green with 5 threes, Robbie. So, Kellen, so it doesn't matter who it is. It's somebody each different night, which makes it a tough team to guard.
What does it mean, Earl, about the team that they have so far this year in their wins? They've blown teams out. They've had good, solid wins, and they also have wins like they did the other night when they were down double digits, able to come back and just scrape by and get a win. Does it mean something about the makeup of the team or the way they're coached, or what is it?
Yeah, it's a little bit of all that. I always say, anytime you watch teams that compete or win championships, you got to be able to win in different ways. You got to be able to win a shootout where you're lights out, hitting a lot of threes. It's a high-scoring game. And you got to be able to win a game where you get tough sledding. It's a physical, grinded-out, defensive type of game, kind of like the VCU game on the road, So you got to win different types of games where you're going to face some adversity. And obviously games like St. Bonaventure Friday night. And that gets back to the coaching staff as well. They do a great job of, over the years, of evaluating not only the talent, and they evaluate the people, the talent, behind it. These kids are tough, not only mentally, physically, but mentally. So I think that all kind of plays into it. There wasn't a sense of panic when they were down 15. There was a sense of frustration, no doubt, but there really wasn't a sense of panic. And Quentin hit that 30-footer at halftime, cut it to 10. They got after each other, I'm sure, at halftime. This is what we got to do. And they really came out and played a great second half, set themselves up for that victory.
Earl, I think everybody that follows SLU was pleased, really delighted when Chris May hired Coach Josh Schertz. And you've had a chance to watch him, on the proverbial daily basis for a little more than 2 seasons since he took the job and before he started coaching officially at SLU. Why is he so good? Because he is damn good. That's pretty obvious. What makes him so effective?
It was funny because when I was watching the aftermath of Indiana winning that national championship, and they had one of those experts say, Kirk Cignetti does 3 things. The way they evaluate talent, and they develop players, and they foster a winning culture. And I stood up on my bed and go, that sounds like somebody I know, and that's exactly what Josh does. They do a good job of just, you've seen in the portal and the high school kids they've recruited, they evaluate exactly what they want. They covet size, they covet length, and they covet skill. So, with the exception of Trey Green, who's 6 feet and a marvelous 3-point shooter, everybody else, and Dion is 6'3", but he's got a 40-inch. Everybody else is 6'5", 6'6" on up. But they're all skilled basketball players, and they all got good length, which means you can impact the game defensively as well as offensively. So those 3 things, and obviously developing talent in the portal era, NIL era, is of the utmost importance because you never know. You lose a guy, you better have young guys ready to step in. And obviously the culture, guys are selfless. They don't, they're up until this last game. You rarely see a guy scored 20 points. Ish had 29 the other night, and obviously Robbie and Trey. But guys are playing no more than 22 minutes a game, and it's spread out. Guys don't care who gets the credit. If somebody's hot, he's going to get the ball. So they've pretty much bought into that, and I think that's what's made for obviously the success they've enjoyed. Hopefully it'll keep going.
The coaching style of Josh Schertz, and I've been a fan of his going back to Indiana State, as I mentioned a bunch of times. I'm a Missouri Valley fan, so I like the conference. I like watching teams in it, and I've been following him for a while now. His coaching style, compared to what we've seen at SLU over the years, how different is it? Are there similarities with some of the other greats? How do you look at him?
He kind of reminds me of a combination of Rick Majerus and Charlie Spoonhour a little bit. Rick Majerus, of course, he's one of those big brain coaches, one of the great basketball minds in college basketball history. And that's the way Josh is offensively. And Spoon is that, obviously he really loves to talk the game. And you listen to our postgame show, he'll stay forever if he needed to, if he had other obligations. And he's, and jovial, just affable, with the fans and does a great job as well as being a basketball mind. What I love about him is that you watch the kids play. You see when it's really going well. They're playing. I always say they're playing music. Their plays and their actions that they run, but then a lot of times they're reading and reacting and just going off what's happening out there on the court. It's not called set plays. They're just so-and-so open. Oh, I'm cutting, and it's not called plays. They're just out there just playing. So that just makes it hard to scout. And he kind of creates that kind of freedom within the structure that that he puts out there. And it starts up. I think Robbie, with having Robbie at the fulcrum of that, everybody kind of feeds off of that.
When you mentioned Coach Majerus, and you were also giving your observations in terms of what makes Shirt successful. You mentioned some of the things that Curt Cignetti values. It's a similar approach. I would definitely agree with that, and I would add something to it. The beautiful thing about Rick, one of the beautiful things about Rick Majerus is that when he went recruiting, and I talked to him hours about this. When he went recruiting, he could care less whether a guy was 1 star, 3 stars, 4 star. It didn't matter to him. Just like Cignetti, he didn't care that all those kids that he brought from James Madison were not highly recruited guys. He saw that they could perform. It wasn't potential, it was performance. And Rick Majerus always had, when he recruited, he put star rankings, recruiting rankings aside, and he looked for traits that he needed to fill a void in his basketball team for the next season, the next 2 seasons. He would look for a special role or a special talent rather than just worrying about whether this guy was a 4-star or whatever. He filled the need with great precision. And when he would recruit a guy, like his point, it now fails me, my memory, and I apologize. His great point guard at Utah, who played in the NBA for like 20 years.
Andre Miller.
Nobody recruited him. Nobody.
Yes. Yes, I know. Exactly.
So there's a little Cignetti, there's a little Cignetti in all these guys, like the things that made Cignetti great. I love that. I do.
Yeah, and that's the confidence you have to have when you're evaluating talent. It's not evaluating talent to say, what can they do to succeed for the way I want to play and maximize themselves in my system? And like you said, Brian Conklin they said people in Oregon thought Rick was crazy. And when they recruited Brian Conklin to St. Louis, we recruiting this 6'7" power forward to St. Louis. What's he doing and everything? And Brian turned out to be one of the best power forwards we've ever had at St. Louis. And that's the thing. They get the guys that really identify. They know what they're looking at, not what everybody else is looking at. They identify what they're looking at specifically. That is so true with a lot of these great coaches, and they know they can develop them, and a lot of it goes even past basketball. As people, do they have the attitude of, I may not play 30, 40 minutes a game. I don't need all the touches. I don't need all this. Can they buy in and sacrifice? And that's hard, especially now in the portal NIL. Everybody wants to get to the league and everything. It's hard to find a group of guys that will do all that for the greater good, and I think that is one of his great traits.
All right, before we let you go, Earl Austin Jr., how about your partner, Bob Ramsey, going into the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame soon?
He's so past due. Rammer has been one of the best, not only in basketball, baseball, soccer, whatever sport is. Bob Ramsey is a true professional, but one of the great. When we got the award a couple of weeks ago, and I talked about Rammer, and I talked about some of the great, Kaywood Ledfoot at Kentucky, Woody Durham at Duke, Bob Davis, guys like that at Kansas. Bob Ramsey is right there with those guys that have been there 40 plus years, providing brilliant play-by-play and just the face and the voice of St. Louis University basketball and athletics, and a great friend and a great person too, which is why I love him.
Earl Austin Jr., also a member of the Sports Hall of Fame, Missouri Sports Hall of Fame. Good to have you on. Enjoy the game tomorrow. We are all going to be watching and listening.
Thank you, guys. You guys take it easy. Always good to hear from you too, big dog.
All right, man. Love you.
That
Bye-bye.
is Earl Austin Jr. He and Bob Ramsey have the call of Billikens Flyers tomorrow from Chaffetz Arena, and that game will be right here on 104.1 FM KMOX. Bernie, as we hit the break here, why don't you tell everybody about our friends at Saliga?
I'd be delighted to. Saliga Heating and Cooling, congratulations to them. They're in their 100th year. 100 years. Same family, continuously owned Saliga Heating and Cooling. Dan Saliga is a fourth-generation owner-operator. I can't say that we've been calling Saliga Heating and Cooling since 1927. No, we came along later than that, but we have called Saliga for the last 19 years. And I can testify they have helped us so many times. Minor problems, middle problems, major problems. And every single time, man, after they left our home, we felt better. Not because the problem was solved, but just the way we were treated. And just knowing when they arrive, you can trust them. They're not going to try to hustle you. They're not going to play games. They're not going to try to mislead you in any way or try to get you to take the more expensive repair job. They try to save us money, and that's true of all their clients. And they're just excellent because, and I tell this all the time, and I never get tired of saying it, the Saliga family since 1927, they have had a pretty simple but powerful philosophy, which is like, we want to have clients that stay with us. Well, what do we have to do to make sure that people who take a chance on us will stay with us? It's all about trust. They believe every time they go on a service call, the people that call them and whatever home they enter to do it, they have to leave there knowing that they earned the trust of the family that called them, and that they insist on making sure they do that every single time. I love that, and I can testify it's absolutely true. We trust them 100%. So if anything you have, problems, whatever, you got questions, get the phone number, take a look at the maintenance program called the Priority Club. Just go to SaligaHeatingandCooling.com. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Robin Fletcher. I've smoked for 46 years. I went to a seminar and I have not smoked a cigarette since I left. My best friend came with me and neither one of us smoked. I took my 3 sisters and my brother-in-law and my sister's best friend. None of them have smoked a cigarette. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
My name is Jen Carpenter. I went to a Mark Patrick seminar back in February 12, 2015, to stop smoking, and it worked. I'm coming up on 11 years. A friend of mine also went in October of 2015, and he still no longer smokes. This is after, for myself, almost 30 years of smoking, and it was just amazing.
What are you waiting for? Join Mark Patrick Hypnosis and lose the weight or stop smoking or your money back, only $59.99. That's right, weight loss hypnosis, Saturday, March 7th at the Comfort Inn Westport Event Center in St. Louis at 11 a.m. Registration 10:30 a.m. Stop smoking hypnosis 2 p.m. Registration 1:30 p.m. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com.
Big game, big screen, big energy at Ballpark Village, Sunday, February 8th. Enjoy the big game like you're in the end zone, featuring in-arena touchdown celebrations, fan cams, contest VIP packages, and more, hosted by RDJ and DJ Dex. Save up to $10 on tickets with code KMOX. Tickets and event details at stlballparkvillage.com/events. For more information, KMOX.com/events.
Hi, this is Charlie Brennan. I see clearly now thanks to the doctors, Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Robert Brusati, and Andy Royer. You can too. YourEyeDoc.com.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions. Our new technology platform, developed by AmericanEagle.com, has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at RepairClinic.com. If you need a world-class website or technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
Now, back to the Gashouse Gang, sponsored by Saliga Heating and Cooling, overhead door company of St. Louis, on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
That's right, it is the Gashouse Gang, and it is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin dealer. Got Bernie Miklas here today, Chris Ranji, and we are thankful that you spent your afternoon with us every weekday from 12 until 1. The show comes back tomorrow. Matt Pauley is going to be in for me. Amy and I, for the Chris and Amy show, will be broadcasting live from the Billiken Grill that is on the SLU campus in the Bush Student Center ahead of the Billiken Blizzard tomorrow night game against Dayton. Of course, that game's on KMOX. Bernie, before we say goodbye here, it is 2 weeks from today. 2 weeks from today, Cardinals pitchers and catchers will have their first full workout in Florida. I know a lot of guys already there, both on the position side and pitching side, which is pretty standard practice now for teams around baseball, where guys go to the spring training facility early to get some work in, maybe months early even. But the first full official workout is in 2 weeks.
And we still maintain our vigil on the Brendan Donovan
the Brendan
watch,
Donovan vigil. I got my candles.
Yeah.
I have a whole book of them ready to go.
I tell you what, it's going to be really interesting either way it turns out, because if they trade him, I'm going to assume they're going to get a really good return, which a rebuilding team should seek if they're going to flip a guy like, Brendan Donovan. On the other hand, it'll be delightful to have him back. Who doesn't like him? But it also will create some traffic issues,
And so I don't want to do traffic issues again. I like the guy. He's been a great asset, and I think any team that's a winning team would love to have him. But it's just for this particular moment in Cardinals history, it's better for them if they can move on and give some of these other guys more reps. It's just because that's what they have to get ready for the future, and he's not going to be part of it long term.
The Cardinals farm system's coming along great. And this isn't Fred Bird speaking. This is independent evaluators. This week, Kylie McDaniel of ESPN put the Cardinals farm system at number 9.
That's great.
Baseball America said it was the most improved farm system in baseball. Keith Law, my friend of The Athletic, he has the Cardinals at 11, but everything he said about them was glowing with praise. So the rebuild, so to speak, is off to a great start, because the key to a rebuild is developing young talent and lots of it. And it looks like they're off to a good start with that. And we'll see how it turns out.
And Keith Law he's critical, man.
Oh,
he's not afraid to tell you if he doesn't think the system is doing well. And to hear it from him, that to me is a good sign.
Yeah, and they had 5 prospects, 5 of the top 100 prospects, which is good compared to what they've been doing. I'm talking about the Cardinals at MLB, MLB.com, MLB Pipeline, sorry. And ESPN, Kylie McDaniel had 5 Cardinals on his top 100. So we're talking about some pretty elite talent on the way. It doesn't guarantee anything,
right?
But we know that there's encouraging signs.
It doesn't guarantee anything, but the more top 100 prospects you have, you can afford to miss on a few. Because that means you've got some others who are not going to miss. That's what that means. So all we can do is wait, and we'll see what happens with Brendan Donovan. Of course, if it does, we'll be breaking it down on the Gashouse Gang. Bernie Miklas, good to talk to you. I know you're back for Redbird or Rush Hour Sports tomorrow at 5 o'clock.
Yep.
You'll be there with Matt Pauley. We'll be listening to that. Thank you.
Thank you, buddy, as always.
Bernie Miklas, Chris Ranji on the Gashouse Gang. If you missed it, you know where to get it on the Odyssey app, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. It's all there for you at KMOX Sports. The Dave Glover Show is next.